I've been pestering you for about a year and a half now to get online. Um, so I thank you and I appreciate you. Um, but we're here, first of all, to my listeners, thank you for tuning in. My name is Butler. Today is the best day of my life. Tomorrow's not promised. Go ahead and do your little dance while they still playing your song. So, where are you from?
Augusta, Georgia.
You're from Augusta, Georgia.
Yeah.
And so, your ex fiance,
Um, he's my late fiance now,
okay, his name was Josh.
Josh Holliday.
Okay, how did you and Josh meet?
Oh gosh, it's my favorite love story. We were actually teenagers when we first met.
Okay,
We were each other's first loves, 14, 16. Did that little breakup thing. 22 years later, right after he had lost his mom, um, thanks to Facebook, I sent him a friend's request and it was on. That's we
okay,
um we had 3 amazing years together.
got you. Okay, and so then at some point in time, he proposes.
Oh yeah.
Where were you
Um
guys? Go ahead.
oh no, you go ahead.
I was just trying to figure out where were you guys in your relationship when he proposed?
Um it's funny because we dealt with a lot within 3 years. My Josh, he had bipolar type 1
Okay,
and he also self-medicated. So, we dealt with addictions and everything like that. And, he'd never really had anybody in his corner that fought for him.
okay,
Um, and it was probably within the last year, about the time that he went to jail and, he realized that, hey, this is it. This is my soldier. This is who fights for me. Um, when he came into our life, he came into a ready-made family.
okay,
I've got 2 sons. At the time I had 2 grandsons. A third was born right before he passed. But so he came in as stepdad, pop, everything. And you would have never thought that he wasn't a part of our family. He was our missing piece.
got you. Okay, and so what did he go to jail for?
Fleeing and eluding.
Okay,
Um he had a psychosis episode. He was in an episode and he had done time in his early 20s as a young man in Texas prisons, and he had PTSD. And he got pulled over for the headlights. He stopped, freaked out, and he took Columbia County on a 3-county car chase.
mm,
He went from Columbia County through Richmond County and ended at Burke County and called me on the way. But his main thing was getting my car, because he was in my car, getting my car to a safe location.
okay,
He called me crying, just telling me he's so sorry. He messed everything up. He was so sorry. And I was like, no, dude, just pull over. It's going to be okay.
okay,
He got it to his stepmom's house and, he went to jail in Columbia County. He got fleeing and eluding and possession of a firearm by a convicted felon.
okay.
Um,
So this was not his first time going to jail.
no,
Okay,
no,
okay. So now earlier you said that he was diagnosed with something. What was he diagnosed with?
bipolar type 1.
Okay, so for us who don't know what that means, sometimes we hear certain things, but we really don't know.
hmm
What does that actually mean?
So it's like a depressive order, and you have type 1, and then you have type 2, and with him, you go on like manics, and it's
Okay,
like you're on top of the world, nothing can bring you down. Um, you're on your highest high, and it can go from being on your highest high, and in the blink of an eye, you go down to your lowest low,
okay,
and you can't get out of bed, you can't do anything. And throughout all of that, with him self-medicating,
uh-huh.
it would throw him into psychosis to where, you know, he was paranoid.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
So when he's self-medicating, what was his drug of choice?
meth, and then it grew to fentanyl.
Okay. So from my small understanding, doesn't meth make you a tad bit paranoid?
Yep. Yeah.
Dangerously paranoid.
Yes.
So what was that like to be around at that time?
Um, it was heartbreaking. I'm not even gonna lie. It was heartbreaking
Okay.
because seeing this man that he was he was amazing, and he never put himself first.
Right.
And to see him, worried and scared and, thinking, he ultimately used to tell me that he was going to lose his life at the hand of others.
Mm.
And I
Okay.
told him, no, you're not. Quit talking like that, man. We're going to grow old together. We're finally back together. We're going to grow old together.
Okay. All right. So then when he goes on his high speed chase, he gets locked up in what county?
Columbia County, Georgia.
Okay. All right. And then so is he on probation or parole when he's arrested or
He was actually on probation.
okay.
And the funny story with that one is the prosecutor is the one that had seen that he got over sentenced. So while he was in jail for this, he got resentenced on his probation and got taken off of probation. So when he got sentenced for this, he wasn't on probation or anything.
Why you say over sentence?
He had 5 years probation, and he was supposed to only be sentenced to 3 for the charge that he had at that time.
Okay. All right. And so then how long does it take for him to go from the county jail to actual prison?
10 months.
10 months. So he stayed in the county for 10
Yeah,
months. All
yeah.
right.
He stayed in county for 10 months, and he ultimately got sentenced for. He got sentenced 3 in and 13 out. Um, and that was on the 3 in was basically on the fleeing and eluding. And before he went from county to Jackson, I
Mm-hmm.
had already talked to the parole board.
Uh-huh.
I'd already had in the letter, of where he was going to reside at, everything, because when he went into Jackson, he went in eligible for parole.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Okay. So then when he gets to what year does he go into Jackson?
it was October the 18th of 2024.
2024. Okay, so this was just recent.
Hmm.
So at this point in time, Jackson is gangland. It's
Yeah,
infested with gangs.
yeah.
Okay, so how was he describing the condition of Jackson? Or
He
did
did it
he?
to me.
He didn't.
He was only there for 4 days.
He was only there for 4 days.
He got there on the 18th and he lost his life on October 21st.
How does that happen?
So he got there on October the 18th and he used the phone, even though I told him not to, but he's hard headed. But he used the phone and he called me to let me know that he was okay, that he had made it, and he was like, baby, it's going to be probably about a week and a half to 2 weeks before, you get to talk to me again. But we hadn't got to talk since the hurricane hit. When Helene hit, we literally talked the day before.
Okay.
And his birthday was September 27th, the day Helene hit. So from September the 27th to October the 18th, the only thing our communication was one letter each.
Gotcha.
And just to let him know that, hey, we're still alive, we're okay.
Yeah.
And so he told me, he said, baby, it's going to be a week and a half, maybe 2 weeks before you get to talk to me again. He was in an open dorm because
Now,
I
did
could
he
hear.
call from a prison phone or did he call from
No,
a telephone?
no, he called from cell phone.
All right. So do you
Yeah,
know whose cell phone he was using?
I don't.
Okay.
Um, all I know is that he was in an open dorm
Okay.
because I could hear the people around him, and I'm like, "Dang, babe, dang, Grizzly, you in an open dorm?" Because I called him my grizzly bear because
Yeah.
he was, he looked big and tough,
Yeah.
but and he was. Don't get me wrong, he was. But he said, "Yeah, I'm in an open dorm," and I was like, "All right." He said, "Well, I'm gonna let you go." I was like, "Okay." I was like, "Before you let me go, though, who am I?" He says, "You my baby. I forever loved my baby."
Right.
That's the last words I ever heard that man say to me.
Okay. So did he have any uh gang affiliation?
He did from when he was in prison in Texas. He um he had a tattoo above his stomach that said 100% wood.
Now, what does that mean for people who don't know?
It was a branch of peckerwood.
Uh huh.
And like I said, he was like maybe 20, 21, if even that, when he
Mm-hmm.
went to prison in Texas.
Okay.
And so, he did what a kid had to do. And now, before he went to jail in Jackson, he didn't associate with that kind of life.
Okay.
I mean, he literally had the family life. We had the family life. And so I talked to him on the 18th.
Okay.
The 20th, his dad calls me and tells me that Josh had just called him and said that he had been fighting all weekend long, that they were trying to say he was an SA.
What's the
Well,
essay?
an SO.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
an SO. Um, which he was not. He,
Okay.
he didn't have that on him. Now he had allegations, but allegations came out to be false.
Now, when you say allegations, what do you mean?
Okay, well his own paper wife, they were separated for years. They were trying to get custody of her son back, and her son's grandmother um told him to either bring up false allegations against Josh or he wasn't going to have his Xbox. He was a 5-year-old kid.
Uh huh.
So he brought up false allegations and came back and told the truth.
Okay.
So it's got when you look him up, you see the charge, but you see how it was dismissed. Um, so the
So if
only
you
thing
were to
that
put up his record, then what charge would have
they
came up?
they've been verified. They well, I would say been verified, but I've been told by others that whenever you go through Jackson, the other inmates go ahead and background check you,
Okay.
because if you looked at his papers,
Uh huh.
he never had any charges like that on his papers.
Gotcha.
Um, so then his dad told me that Josh had told him $1,000 for his life. They said $1,000 for his life.
Now, who is saying $1,000 for his life?
I'm assuming gang members.
Do
Um,
Do we have any idea what gang?
I do. After his death, I've had people reach out to me because the GDC
Uh huh.
literally ruled his death a suicide.
That's not the first time I've heard that.
No, it's not me either. I've learned a lot since Josh passed.
I think it's easier for them if it's a suicide. So,
It
cause
is.
yeah,
But mind you, also, Butler, the day that he called his dad, he didn't call his dad from somebody's cell phone.
he called
When
from the
he hung
wall.
up the phone with his dad and
Uh
his
huh.
dad called that number back,
Yeah.
an officer answered the phone. Yeah.
So hold on.
So
So
he
if he
called from an administrative number. He
okay,
called from a prison phone.
so that means that the administration knew about it.
This was on a Sunday, so an officer knew about it. I don't have the concrete evidence
Yeah.
yet for this,
Uh huh.
but I feel like that day, an officer walked him to a phone to use a phone
Got you.
and then took him back to where he'd been fighting.
Do we have any idea who this officer is?
No. Now, I do have a roster of every officer that worked that prison from October the 18th to October the 21st.
Okay.
I don't have the days that they worked and the shifts that they worked because when GDC gave it to me, they just gave me an alphabetical roster.
Right.
But I mean, I'm having to do my own investigating
Yeah.
because all of that happened on the 20th. I called the prison myself, and talked to a female officer, and she was like, "We've already got an officer going down there to handle it. He's going to be okay." Okay, well, I called back the next day and I can't even get anybody at Jackson. I'm getting the main GD, Department of Corrections line.
They
And
don't
so I'm
answer their
talking to,
phone.
yeah, I'm talking to this lady and I'm like, I need to talk to somebody at the prison.
Right.
All day long, I'm trying to get in touch with somebody at the prison and could not. But
Mm.
then on October the 21st, about 11:18 that night, um, the warden called me
Now,
to let me,
who is the warden at the time?
I cannot remember his name.
Okay.
Um, I've got it written down in my notebook, but honestly, I remember everything so perfectly, but so vaguely at the same time.
Got you.
Um, I just know it was Butts County. The
Okay.
coroner was Butts County. Her name was Miss Lacey. That we went to go see the next day. The officer told me that Josh was no longer. I mean, not the officer. The warden told me that Josh was no longer with us. Um, I said, "What do you mean?"
Exactly.
He said, "He took his own life." I said, "How?" He said, "I can't tell you that. That's an ongoing investigation." Mind you, I was his emergency contact.
Okay.
I was his significant other. From the moment that he went in county, I'm the only name that was on his paperwork.
Right. So they were supposed to call you.
Yeah. So he did, but I told Josh's dad about it. Josh's dad called, and the warden told him that it was that he had hung himself. Um, which I knew right then it was a lie.
You immediately knew that that was
I
not true.
immediately knew, and I told him no, he did not. It's not true. And everybody's like, well, maybe he was, maybe it is, because he wasn't on his medicine. He had just went to Jackson. Mm-mm. I knew that man like the back of my hand.
Right.
The letter that I got from him, I got his last letter the day that he died. When he left Columbia County, his cellmate mailed the letter to me. And that letter was sitting there talking about the plans. I mean, he was doing blueprints. He was a carpenter. I mean, he
Okay.
would take nothing and turn it into something beautiful.
Right.
So, I mean, he was drawing our blueprints for our house.
Okay.
We own our property. He was going to build our house. He had plans, you
Right.
know, and so then on the 22nd, we went to the coroner's office and met with the coroner and identified his body. Now, tell me, Miss Butler,
Uh-huh.
why is it that the main thing that this coroner pointed out to me is that they moved Josh 3 times? How do you, as a coroner, know that they moved him 3 times into 3 different cell blocks? Yeah. And
Why would he know that?
she made it a point to tell us that he was in solitary confinement in a cell by himself. She said, and on the video, you don't see nobody come in and out of his cell. I've worked in healthcare for
Uh-huh.
20 years.
Right.
Um, Coroners don't do investigations.
Right. That was an
Coroners go to the scene, pronounce you dead, take your body.
right.
So, I wrote it down on my notes because
Oh, well, why was he supposed to be in solitary confinement though?
as protective custody, I guess. I guess they
So
put him in there to keep him safe.
now
But
did they
if
put him in there or did he sign himself up to go in there?
that I don't know, because as soon as Josh passed, my name disappeared on paperwork.
Mm.
They never gave me his Bible that he went to prison with. They never gave me his ID his driver's license that he went to prison with.
Mm.
There's like, he didn't come here with anything. Yes, he did.
Right.
I mean, because I know what I got from the jailhouse when he left, and
Yeah.
I know what he had.
Yeah.
Um, so when I kept calling the deputy warden, at first they was like, "We can't find your name anywhere. You're not on his paperwork." I said, "You might want to go look in that file at his handwritten stuff."
Yeah.
I said, "Because I'm everything on his paperwork."
Right.
And I mean, I'm the only person in his entire life that he signed power of attorney over to. Because I mean, he had his own business going, everything before he went to jail.
Okay.
And so in order for me to handle all of that, I had to have power of attorney. And so we waited for his toxicology report to come back. His toxicology report came back with meth in his system. Um, he was proud of his sobriety. Okay.
Uh-huh.
This go around, he was proud of it.
Okay.
Um, he would, while he was in county, he was faced with somebody that came in with fentanyl. He was so proud of me when he called me and he said, "Baby, guess what? You are not going to believe it, what I did. I just got offered fentanyl and I turned it down."
Mm.
He said, "For the first time in my life, I ever turned down drugs."
Mm.
When he was in county, he started a jailhouse ministry, Celebrate Recovery, in his dorm.
Okay.
He was so proud that he got to tell young guys about recovery, guys
Mm.
that didn't think that they could live that life, and because all they knew was the street life, all they knew was drugs.
Right.
And so, he was proud of that. That's what he wanted to get out and do. And so we went on, and then I had some folks reach out to me through TikTok, and someone else get their family member to reach out to me to let me know, don't give up, don't stop investigating. That an officer had said that the way they found Josh, he couldn't have done it himself.
Okay.
Um, I had another person reach out to me, and for months, just checking on me, seeing if they'd ever came back with the truth. The only way that we found out who an investigator was investigating Josh's passing was that I had to go to Atlanta. They were having a Senate subcommittee, December of 24, about our Georgia prisons, and it was a public meeting.
Okay.
So I went and spoke in front of them. I went and spoke in front of Tyrone Oliver and all of them. And I put them all on blast because nobody would return a phone call. Nobody would tell me anything about, Josh's investigation. And so then
Mm.
I found out the investigator, but the investigator only called me back after the autopsy results came back as a suicide by hanging. And
Mm.
so when all of that came out, and the person, one person, sorry, is sometimes it gets a little overwhelming,
Yeah.
but the one a person got out and they reached out to me with their loved one and told me exactly what happened that whole weekend.
Can you share that with us?
Um, I have to crop some stuff out,
Okay.
as protection of them because the GDC don't deserve to know who my sources are.
Okay.
But yeah, I have text messages. This person made it a point to let me know that Josh was about his family, he was about me, and he was about Jesus.
Okay.
But Josh was tired. Apparently Josh had been fighting all weekend with the Crips.
Okay.
Um, the
So
night
now
that
is that who sent the who made the request for the $1,000? Is
I'm
that the
assuming,
okay?
I don't know that part.
Okay.
I just know that this person had told me, that he'd been fighting all weekend with them. Um, that they say that the whole, solitary confinement, the whole is supposed to be, you can't come in and out, but at Jackson you can. It's not locked down like it's supposed to be. The night that Josh passed, Josh was hitting one on one with a Crip member in his
Okay.
cell. He knocked the guy out,
Okay.
and the guy went and got six more,
Okay.
and they held him down and hung him. He
Mm.
basically told me, he said they crucified him.
Mm.
Yeah. And I'm not even going to lie to you. At this point in my life, Butler, it's not even about the ones that took his life. It's not about the inmates that took his life.
Okay.
At this point in my life and in my healing, I pray for them guys
Okay.
because you're only going to do what your gang tells you to do.
Right.
You're because you know that if you don't do what you're told to do, then
It'll be done to you.
you're going to be next. My goal is them officers.
Okay.
My goal is the Georgia Department of Corrections because officers turned their head that night. Officers turned their head those 2 days, and they knew what was going on.
Yeah.
And it started down at the officers, and it worked its way all the way up to the GBI
Mm.
because nobody now. I had someone else reach out to me and let me know that when they brought Josh's body out of the cell, Josh's hands were tied behind his back.
How do you kill yourself with your hands tied
Thank
behind
you.
your back?
Thank you. And that is something that an investigator has not told me. The investigator told me that these people that told me this stuff,
Uh huh.
they're lying to me. but they don't
Okay.
know me.
Okay. So I got a couple of questions.
Hmm.
One, the you said that you were told that he had meth in his system.
Yeah.
Do you believe that?
Um, I mean, part of me believes it,
Hmm.
but I don't feel like he did it.
What do you mean?
I feel like they did it. Somebody else did it to make it look like he done got high and killed himself.
Mm, okay.
Because it's the ultimate cover up. Just like what these other passings, it's the ultimate cover up.
Now
And
let me ask you, how long does meth stay in your system?
it can stay in there for 35 days. But now, also this one, when I got the toxicology report back, the number was so high that I messaged the coroner and I asked her, why is this number like this? This is an extremely high number. She said it was literally, he'd either been doing it for a really long time
Uh-huh.
or he had literally just ingested it right before he died. It was just ingested in him right before he died.
So then do you think that he was lying to you about his
No,
usage? You don't.
no.
Okay.
That part I know he wouldn't because I'm the one person that he would never lie to about it. We suffered addiction for a short time together.
Okay.
So we were in recovery together.
Okay.
And I mean, people may laugh, I don't care, but I literally could feel it when
No,
he
I
got
get it.
high. When he
I get it.
relapsed, I
Yeah.
could sense it.
Let me ask you this.
Hmm.
Because you say that he had been fighting all weekend, and do could that have drove him to meth?
Now I thought about that too.
Okay.
Um, I thought about, him getting high to try to stay awake, so that he wouldn't go to sleep, so that something wouldn't happen
Oh,
when he was
because you
asleep.
can't sleep on meth, right?
I mean, you can, but if it's the good stuff, no. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. Excuse me. But with him though,
Uh-huh.
I don't think it was. I literally feel like in my gut that it was part of the cover up.
Okay.
Because mind you, everything that I've learned, I have not learned from the GDC.
Right.
Everything I've learned from talking with others and investigating it myself and just putting myself out there and like, hey, this is who knows this, who knows that.
Mm. So they clearly tried to cover it up. And so did you guys have any additional examinations and or tests run after you received the body?
I wish. But with us not being married, I didn't have no say. Without us being married, this is as far as I can do it.
Right, right, right,
Um, and to the person that's asking, how is she so strong? Honey, I ain't always been this strong.
right.
Um, Literally for the first 3 or 4 months, I couldn't get out of bed.
Okay.
Um, the only reason why I'm this strong now is because I am so sick and tired of it. I mean, the year Josh died, it was 333 people that lost their life inside of a Georgia prison.
Listen, for this year, the month of January,
I think it was,
35
yeah,
people.
35 for the month of January.
We have
And then,
more.
last year, I think it was 290 something with 6 names missing. And no matter how much we go in front of our senators and our governor or whoever we're going in front of, they're literally, we'll fix it, but going behind us and laughing at us behind our backs.
Literally.
That's why, like, the officer, you've done his interview, Tyler.
Yeah.
Everything that he posts, I make sure I share.
Yeah.
Everything that I see, I make sure I share because now it's my ultimate goal is I'm not gonna shut up.
Okay.
What the Georgia Department of Corrections did not realize is that Joshua Holliday had a soldier. Joshua Holliday had a woman that fought for him when he was here,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm gonna fight now. And it's not just for him; it's for the other ones. The mothers and the fathers that are having to lay their kids to rest
Mm-hmm.
because their kid made a mistake. Their child
Mm.
making a mistake should not cost them their life.
Right. Um. So let me ask you this, and this is just a hypothetical question. Um. Let's just say you had absolute control over the Georgia Department of Corrections, but you had to fix it.
Mhm.
People, because right now what's taking place is you have more people to die in general population than die on death row, like literally.
Yeah.
So, what could you do to improve this system?
Well, first off, about 95% of them officers would be gone. And I mean, honestly, they need to bring in, and I mean, I know a lot of people can be like, oh, they don't need to do that, but the National Guard needs to come in.
Okay.
I mean, somebody that's trained. No, they're not trained with prisoners, but they're trained how to deal with hostile situations.
Okay.
Because most people in the National Guard are retired from the military,
Right. Right.
so they're trained in dealing with that. Um, and I mean, honestly, it's them officers because you've got and I'm not going to say all them officers because you do got officers that really care about people. I've came across officers and counselors that really do care about these people,
Right.
but they're outnumbered by the ones that don't. They're outnumbered by the ones that'll take that paycheck from a gang member or something like that to turn their head.
Mm. How do you stop the gang members from having so much power? Because
Mm.
I talked to a young lady. I talked to a young lady who comes on every morning, and uh, her loved one was being they was charging her brother $50 a week for a bunk to have a bunk.
Yeah.
Uh, but he's been moved to another prison, and so we don't know if the Crips actually was trying to extort you guys for $1,000.
No, I don't
But
know who it was.
right,
I mean, it could have been any of them. I
right,
just know that I was told that the night that Josh lost his life, he was fighting with a Crip.
gotcha.
That's all I know. I don't know anything about the $1,000 or anything like that. And then his dad was like, it was like, maybe he owed money. I'm gonna go ahead and shut that down now because if that man owed anybody money, he would have called me. I was his bread and butter. I'm the only person from the moment when he got locked up, January the 5th of 2024, to the moment he took his last breath, that made sure he was taken care of.
Right.
I mean, I worked every night at the hospital because I'm a CNA, so I worked healthcare. I worked every night to make sure our kids were taken care of and to make sure he was taken care of.
Okay.
Right along, with going to school and everything else that I was doing. So he didn't owe anybody money.
Wow.
This was strictly just,
And had he owed somebody money, you would have been the first
I
to
would
know
have took,
about it.
yeah, he would have called me. I would have took care of it.
Mm.
So this was strictly just a fight that he
Right.
lost. I mean, that he won and then ultimately lost. And strictly the fact that he was being labeled as something that he wasn't.
Right. Hmm.
And I would say his tattoo. I
Now
would
this
say
tattoo.
that 100% would, in my gut, that was the part that started it all.
Where was this tattoo at on his body though? Was it
It was above
visible?
his stomach, above his belly button, and I mean it was like big letters.
Okay. So you
Yeah.
couldn't hide it.
No, no, when you're in the shower, you can't hide it.
And he wasn't the kind of guy that would hide it anyways.
No, no. I mean, he was 6 foot, 252 pounds when he
Oh,
went
this
in.
is a big guy. This is
Yeah,
a
he
big
was a
guy.
big guy. So when I tell you it took
Oh,
6 or 7 of them, it took six or
it
seven
took
of
the
them.
okay.
And
So
for
it
10 months while he was in county, he did his exercises he called Navy SEALs. He
right.
exercised every day.
Okay, so he was giving them a run for their money.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean,
Gotcha.
and that guy told the person that told me that, that he was fighting every day, giving them a run for their money every day.
Mm,
But he got tired. And I mean, we all do,
yeah,
but one person against 6 or 7 people, the odds are not against, I mean, the odds are not for you.
got you. So what's next? Like what are your next steps in trying to get some type of resolve or or some truth out of this situation?
Well, I know that his family has a lawyer. They waited until after a year though to finally get this lawyer. And I'm not saying anything against his family. I love his family with all my heart.
Uh-huh.
And I know that everybody grieves differently.
Yeah,
And, you know, some people just can't go freaking head on. Look, this is how it needs to be, like me. But I mean, they took my whole world. I mean,
right.
I have my kids and I have my grandkids, but they took my world from me.
Literally.
Yes, because I'm not that Della I was on October the 20th. Um, I don't like being around people no more.
Uh-huh.
I just don't. I like being in the comfort of my home,
Mm-hmm.
in the comfort of just our things. But I do. I stay active on the Facebook groups like Georgia Prison Exposed.
Right.
That's my girl.
Special shout out to Tiffany.
Yes, Tiffany. That's my
Yeah,
that's my
she's
girl.
the
I
truth,
love
man.
her.
Much respect to Tiffany.
Yes,
Much respect.
because if
Yeah.
it was not for Tiffany, I wouldn't know anything.
Right.
She's the very first person that I ever reached out to
Uh-huh.
because I was told about that Facebook group by a friend of mine.
Yeah.
I reached out to her. She immediately put Josh's story out there.
Yeah.
She's the one that got me the answers that I got now. Yes.
Wow.
I will forever, forever back Tiffany. That's my girl.
Yeah.
We are in the process of talking about rallies. Um,
Now I
Last
went
year,
down to the Capitol a couple of I think it was like 2 months ago.
yeah. I see. I didn't get to go.
Uh-huh.
Oh, I was so mad too because I wanted to go be like person to person with all of y'all.
Yeah,
And but I just started a new job and I was in training. I was like,
I
man.
understand.
But me and Tiffany are talking about another one.
Yeah.
Um, Now August the 10th. It's on a Monday this year,
Okay.
but that is actually the National Day of Remembrance for people who have lost their lives inside of a prison or county jail.
Okay. So
So
where is there gonna be a gathering somewhere
there
or
is.
where?
It's probably going to be in Atlanta. I don't know for sure yet. I'm still in the beginning stages of it, but because that's where my passion is.
Right.
I love. Let me go ahead, but I love all my advocates. Okay,
Right.
everyone that I have come across with, I love them all, and any way that I can support any of them,
Right.
I'm always right there. When you need me to post something, you need me to tell a story. I'm there. I'll
Yeah.
do it.
Hmm.
But for the ones that have lost their loved ones, that's where my passion is.
Right.
And so I plan on having a thing for that. Um, and then like last year, when on the 1 year anniversary of Josh's passing, I
Uh-huh.
literally did a candlelit vigil in front of the gates of Jackson.
Wow.
Yeah, there's a truck stop right across the street from it.
Yeah.
I'll be there again this year.
Now you didn't get in trouble for that, did you?
No, no, because I was on public property.
Okay.
Yeah, I wasn't on the side where they go in, but we were right there to where every officer or any person that went in inside the gates, right there, the main gate, they
Hmm.
seen me.
Yeah.
They seen all the candles laid out, the posters, everything. If you go on my TikTok,
What's the name of your TikTok?
Delanism,
Spell that for me, just in case somebody want to go check it out.
it's gonna be Della, Della,
Uh-huh.
Newsome,
Okay.
Newsome.
Okay.
I mean, of course, there's some funny little videos or whatever, but that is my platform. That is what I use when I went live in front of the diagnostic prison last year,
Uh-huh.
and that is the platform that I use anytime about Josh.
Okay.
That's got his pictures on it. That's got his story on it. That's a little bit of to show people, who he was.
Right.
Because I don't care if you go to prison, you're not a daggum number.
Right.
I mean, you're not 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Yeah.
You're that person.
Right.
And they need to quit treating these people like they're daggum numbers.
I agree with you wholeheartedly. I agree.
So I'm
Um,
gonna do that again this year. Like I said, the August the 10th. I plan on doing that, and just whatever else, anything. I don't mind being in front of them senators. I don't mind being in front of them politicians' face and letting them see, because I've got a friend of mine. She makes shirts, so naturally, she made the whole family shirts that inmate lives matter. But in the middle of it, it has Josh's picture. Hold on,
okay.
Daniel. Sorry,
No, you good.
trying to get him to go get the shirt for me real quick.
Okay.
But in the middle of it, it's got Josh's picture and it's got his name on it,
Okay.
so that when we're there, go look over there in my second or third drawer and get the shirt out. But that way they can see, because these
Hmm.
people are not numbers.
Exactly.
And I mean, and I don't care what you did, from shoplifting up to murder or whatever. I don't care. It's not my place to judge you.
Right.
It is my place to care for you where you're at. And a lot of these people feel like they don't have a voice
That's true.
because they're incarcerated, and they don't have anything for mental health. Josh went off his medicine right before he went to Jackson because he didn't want to have to stay at Jackson any longer than what he was at.
Hmm.
Going to have to be there, because he knew that if he went in for mental health, that he would have to be there longer.
Gotcha.
And they don't they don't care about that. I mean, prison, dad shirt. This the bottom drawer on the right side. But they don't look at, it's not rehabilitation.
No, not
Now,
at all.
I do have a story, some folks that I know that did go in and they are, rehabilitating themselves. But for the most part, it's not like that.
Right.
For the most part, it is just throwing them in cages.
Mm.
I mean, at least that's what I feel like, anyways. But this is this is what we wear.
Okay.
That was my Josh.
Got you. Do you have a picture of him on your page?
I do.
Okay.
Um, I've got I've got lots of pictures. And the way that you can help, to the person asking, the way that you can help is go to these Facebook groups, go to like Georgia Prison Exposed and these other groups and get involved. A lot of people in our community don't realize what's going on inside of our Georgia prisons. Unless you have a loved one inside of a Georgia prison or you've been inside of a Georgia prison, you don't know. And it's not just men, it's our women too.
True.
Like Pulaski and stuff like that. They are living in nightmares.
Right.
And just get involved, come to the rallies. Because I mean, the more people we have at them rallies holding up them poster boards showing that these people's lives matter too, then the more that our government's going to see.
Right. Right. What do you want Josh's legacy to be?
Oh, wow. How he never gave up no matter what. And he
Okay.
was a fighter to the very end.
Right.
And he cared about, his legacy is going to be how he cared about others. How just because he's gone, his story's not. Um, Even though he could not live recovery too much in
Hmm.
his life, he taught it so well. Um, and just never to stand down, because he never stood down. He didn't stand down from a fight.
Right.
And so I'm not either.
All
And
right.
I'm going to make sure everyone remembers, not only my ultimate goal too is, because we were always going to start a recovery home. So in the future, I'll, eventually have Josh's way.
I like that.
Joshua's way of hope.
That would be dope. Let me ask you this: if there was something you can whisper into the ear of Josh, this is my last question. I promise. I know I said that before, but if you
Okay,
could
you
whisper
good.
one thing into the ear of Josh, what would that be?
I'm not gonna stop, baby. I'm not gonna stop, Grizzly. The truth will come out.
I appreciate you so much. Listen to me. Whenever you are free, I know we got old people schedules, but whenever you want to hop online and get something off your chest, you got my phone number, and we've been communicating on Facebook for a while now. So whenever, however you want to do it, however I can be of assistance to you, just let me know, and we'll
Thank
get
you,
it done.
Butler. Thank you. I'm so glad that we finally got to link up.
Yeah, I
Because I mean,
appreciate your patience.
it's always like, hey, we're gonna do it this, that,
Yeah.
but I'm
I'm
so
embracing
thankful,
my grandpa. Like I'm a grandpa, and like it's dark outside. I can't even go outside no more.
dude.
It's
I
dark. It's
get
over with.
it.
It's over with.
I'm like that too. It's like, oh, drive at night. I'm
Yeah, I don't
good.
want to do that. I don't want to do that. But listen, sister, whatever you need me for, just give me a call. You got my number, man. Keep your head up. Stay prayed up. Um, I can't wait for y'all to have the grand opening to Josh's Way. Is that
It'll be Josh's way of hope.
all right? I received it. It's gonna happen.
Oh yeah.
Uh, all righty. If you need me, give me a call.
And hey, mine and Josh's favorite sign was "Love you, man."
All righty.
Talk to you soon.
All right.
Bye bye.
All right. All right, y'all. I'm out for right now. It's been a long day. I was just at bro, some of y'all be heartless, bro. Some of y'all be heartless, man. Who is that, bro? Y'all like y'all be heartless, bro. I be needing for y'all to just like stay with me a little bit. Y'all don't be having no fucks to give, man. Y'all be stop believing in that stuff. Okay, how can we help? Well, who did somebody said something? Told them to go to prison. Yeah, right. Hey, at the end of the day, man. So the story, if you hadn't been paying attention, she lost her fiance. He was at Jackson State Prison 4 days, and then he was unalive. The autopsy said that he unalived himself, but then she got word that no. These interviews with the victims, God bless you. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. Um, he was there for 4 days, man, and then he was killed. And then she got word from other people that were there that the Crips were responsible for his death. So that's unfortunate. Rest in peace to Josh Holliday. Rest in peace to Josh Holliday. So I'm gonna log off, but then I'm coming back with the black man later on because it's been a minute. The T-shirt. I was just with Lil B today. Is Lil B birthday. He's got a book release. Dead at 13. This is the youngest human in the state of Georgia to be tried as an adult. At the age of 13, he was given natural life. He came home when he was 42. I got several interviews coming. He fed the hungry today. He fed the whole hood. Then we went to the park and fed some more people. It was a long, long day. But it was cool, man. It was cool. Um, yeah, man, I'm out, man. I'm gonna get on the phone with my brother and we'll be right back. Make me a cup of coffee, man. But I appreciate y'all. I appreciate you, God, Sun Ray, Ray 9. Yeah. All right, I'm out, man.